Well, first off, it's a freezing day at the Iowa caucus, similar to Davos, if you will. Negative 33 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 36 degrees Celsius, which really affects turnout. And that is very relevant given some of the polling numbers that you were seeing. President Donald Trump, or former President Donald Trump, no surprise, leading by a massive margin. I'll put some numbers on it. 48% of the caucus goers surveyed expected to vote for President Trump. The next candidate, Nikki Haley, with only 20%. That is a margin of victory that has never been seen in the GOP to date, if those numbers do indeed hold. So again, not only is he leading, but he's leading by a lot. And I think it really speaks to his kind of power with voters at the moment, not only because is he doing it in the face of some very freezing cold weather, which is not only a massive incentive or disincentive, I should say, but it's also in the face of Iowa, which of course has the largest exports of soybeans, pork, corn, basically the basis of the trade agreement that was made with China and the United States in terms of buying some of those agricultural products. And President Trump, of course, during his presidency, didn't fully deliver on those Chinese purchases. So to actually win with some of these Iowan farmers that are directly impacted would be quite the feat.
And he's been talking, Trump, of course, about the enthusiasm of his voter base. And he may not be wrong on that front. We'll see if they can brave the weather then. Talk to us about what this all tells us about the potential head-off then when it comes to the actual presidential vote and the expectations, of course, that ultimately it will be Trump versus Biden.
Well, that is the expectation at the moment, but we still have a Supreme Court vote and a ruling that really dictates whether or not President Trump will actually be on the ballot in several of these states. But you can see how the other candidates are kind of positioning around it. Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, being very careful about the criticisms around President Trump, because at the end of the day, second place could mean VP to President Trump at a time when he formerly had kind of backed Ron DeSantis, said he really liked him, until, of course, Ron DeSantis then said, I'm running for president too. So the number 2 spot is just as important as the number 1 spot and could actually change the game, because Nikki Haley, for example, has a lot more funding and backing from the likes of Charles Koch, for example, among many, many others, in a way that Ron DeSantis just doesn't.